all members are present except Councillor Casey, who's had a family emergency and had to take one of his grandchildren to the hospital, and we wish them well. Okay, I'd like to do the adoption of the agenda, and then we'll do the land acknowledgement. Yep.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of Municipality of Dysart et al. Held on February 24th, 2026 be approved as presented.
Mover and seconder, Carm and Walt, all in favor? Carried, thank you. The land acknowledgement. Municipality of Dysart acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boshwell, and Georgina First Nations. And we thank these nations for their care and stewardship as they pass through our lands. So any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, being none, resolution to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting.
Be it resolved that council approves the following minutes as circulated.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, public meeting. To go into the public meeting? Resolution?
Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the regular meeting of council at 9:02 to proceed into a public meeting to consider zoning bylaw amendment files D14, ZB 2025-008, Lands of Lee and Grierson, D14, ZB 2025-020, Lands of 277-2318, Ontario, Inc., an official plan amendment file D08 OP 2023-004, and zoning bylaw amendment file D14 ZB 2025-003, structures in the minimum water setback.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Tammy, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Now, you think I'd be able to recite this but I can't, it's too long. Okay, the public meeting of February 24th will now come to order. A notice of all those in attendance at this meeting will be live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Please note that the recording will be linked to the municipal website. The purpose of the public meeting is to present planning application in a planning forum as required by the Planning Act. This is a public meeting to consider 3 proposed zoning amendments to the Dysart bylaw zoning bylaw 2005-120. It is council's responsibility to consider all the information received to date regarding the applications and to hear and consider any views you may have about these applications. Every person present or registered will have the opportunity to ask questions about the proposals and voice their opinions regarding the same. Please state your name and your relationship to the application prior to speaking. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide comments to ask questions. Please direct all your questions and comments to the chair. Please restrict your comments to planning matters only. And after the public meeting is over, council will make a recommendation as to whether or not the proposed zoning amendment should be passed. Council's recommendations will then be considered during the regular meeting of council. Once council has made a decision on the proposed amendment, notice will be circulated as per the Planning Act. All those persons who have given the municipality written notice that they would like to receive notice of the decision will receive a copy of the decision. You must make this request in writing to the municipality. If a person or public body who would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision of the council of the municipality of Dysart to the land tribunal, but that person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of Dysart in respect to the proposed amendments to the zoning bylaw before the municipality of Dysart gives or refuses to give approval of the amendment to the zoning bylaw, if a person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the municipality of Dysart at the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. We now commence with the public meeting as per the agenda. The first application on the agenda is zoning bylaw file D14ZB 2025-008, lands of Greason. And the manager of planning, or Chris, will give a brief overview of the purpose and effect of the proposed amendment. Chris,
Yes. Yep.
first.
Yes, thank you, everyone, and good morning. This is for the file as noted for D14 ZB 2025-008. The zoning amendment is required to fulfill a condition of the severance application, file H-040-25, which requires rezoning of a portion of the severed lands from waterfront residential type 4L and environmental protection to waterfront type 6L and environmental protection. This change is necessary to ensure the severed lands align with the zoning of the benefiting lot to which they will be added to. As required through the Planning Act, all neighboring property owners within 120 meters were circulated and notice was put into the local newspaper, and to date, no comments were received. And the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, generally conforms with the Dysart official plan, is appropriate, represents good planning, and recommended that council support the application. And I believe that the consultant, Ashley Kennedy, is on Zoom and can answer any questions that council may have.
Ashlyn, do you have any comments, Ashlyn? Are there any questions, council, first of all? No questions.
Good morning. We don't have anything further to add, but if there are questions that pop up, we're happy to answer them.
Okay. No questions? Then there'll be no answers.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolution is be it resolved that the report for file number D14 ZB 2025-008 Gerson, which consists of part lot 6, concession 9, part 2 on 19R 6640 in the geographic township of Guildford, municipality Dysart et al. Be received for information, and that council direct a bylaw be brought forward for consideration during its February 2026 regular meeting, and that council recommend that the bylaw be approved.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Mover and seconder. Walt and Barry, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. Okay, application number 2. The second
Yes.
application on the agenda for zoning bylaw D14 ZB 2025-20, lands of 277-2318 Ontario Incorporated. And the manager of planning again will give a report.
Yes, thank you. This is the zoning amendment is a condition of a concurrent severance application known as file H-015 and 016 and 017-25. The zoning amendment will rezone the lands for the proposed severed and retained lots from the existing waterfront residential type 6L to waterfront residential type 3L. The minimum lot frontage required in the W3L zone is 60 meters, and the minimum lot area required is 0.4 hectares, and building and septic system components require a minimum of 30-meter shoreline setback. The severed lots and retained lot will comply with the WR3L zone provisions for minimum lot frontage and minimum lot areas, as well as the setbacks. Public comments, as per the Planning Act, all neighboring property owners within 120 meters have been circulated, and local newspaper had been circulated with the notice as well. And to date, no comments were received. And the recommendation is the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, generally conforms to the Dysart official plan, is appropriate and represents good planning, and recommended that council support the application. And I believe that Adam Kozlowski is in attendance today to speak to the application should council have any comments.
Council have any comments on this one? No. Okay, anything to add, Adam?
Good morning, Your Worship. Nothing further to add. I concur with Mr. Orsan's recommendation and thank him for his positive recommendation. Nothing further to add, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are none. So We'll move on. Resolution, please.
Yes, resolution is be it resolved that the report for file number D14-ZB-2025-020 for the lands of 277-2318 Ontario Inc., which consists of part lots 7 and 8, concession 14, parts 1 to 6, Plan 19R 6070 in the geographic township of Havelock, municipality of Dysart et al. Be received for information, and that council direct a bylaw be brought forward for consideration during its February 24th, 2026 regular meeting, and that council recommends that the bylaw be approved.
Okay, that's resolution then. That's it. So we need a mover and seconder, Carm and Barry. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. The third one then.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Mayor and members of council. This is a returning file. This is the municipally led official plan and zoning bylaw amendment to permit a small accessory building within the minimum water setback. At the council meeting in January, if you recall, council deferred a decision on this file to permit staff to continue to work with Harcourt Park regarding use of site plan control and the complexity it causes for their ownership structure. Harcourt Park has now submitted new comments for council consideration. The comments are not included in the report, but I'm going to open them up real quick and then I can summarize them for everybody that's in attendance. So just bear with me. I got to open these up. Yes, thank you for your patience. So Harcourt Park notes that this matter is complex and that any application would need to be made by the corporation and that the corporation would also need to consent to the registration of agreement on their title. They further note that the corporation could be responsible for the fulfillment of any conditions imposed on the individual leaseholds. For instance, if the agreement requires renaturalization of the shorelines, and the tenant chooses not to do that, given that the agreement's registered on title to the property owner, it could go back on Harcourt Park. They have provided a potential solution in their letter, and this would be to amend lease agreements for individual lease holdings that wish to have an accessory building within the water setback and take advantage of these policies. The amended lease could include any conditions that Harcourt Park chooses, including protections and insurance. However, they do note that the leases are approved via Planning Act consent. So any change to the lease structure, it does add more time and cost, and it's not something that Harcourt Park has contemplated. They do note that they appreciate that this issue is specific to Harcourt Park, and it's not comparable to other freehold properties. They do thank council for the engagement to date and remain committed to working with Dysart et al. To explore potential paths forward. So I had a discussion with Harcourt Park yesterday, and what I'll say for council is they still are working with us. We're still trying to come to some sort of solution for them. But as written, the currently proposed policy is a permissive policy, which means that anybody can choose to take advantage of it if they want, including Harcourt Park. I agree, they certainly are in a unique situation because of their ownership structure, which would require them to give permission to any tenants to enter into site plan control. As mentioned, this would add a layer of administration to the process on their end. So I do understand their concerns. Having said that, Harcourt Park is in control of that situation. As the landowner, they can decide how things proceed. They could decide whether they want their tenants to benefit from those policies. They could include any conditions that they deem appropriate to protect the corporation. So I think we can continue to work with them, and I think this situation can be resolved on their end. And I'm not sure that council has to wait to make a decision for this to be resolved. So I don't think there's anything preventing council from making a decision today. We can continue to work with Harcourt Park moving forward to help them address those site plan concerns. And if council does choose to approve the policy, it's something where staff is going to have to come back with an amendment likely to the site plan control bylaw, as some draft template agreements that can be used to speed up the site plan control process for this policy. So it's something that we could probably iron out through that a little bit too. No additional comments have been received since the last public meeting. However, there may be a couple people in attendance today wishing to speak, so you might want to look around. But subject to any questions, staff are seeking direction from council how you wish to proceed today.
Is there anyone here from Harcourt Park? Two on Zoom? Do those people wish to speak? No. They got zoomed out, I think.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Chair.
Morning.
I'd like to make a few comments as my name is Petra Hamann, and we met via Zoom before in previous council meetings, and I understand that my correspondence with staff is included in the meeting materials.
Okay.
And if you allow me, I would today like to focus on three central concerns regarding in the original proposal addressed three structures, which would be need, consistency, and fairness.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first with respect to need, I understand that sun protection and protection from insects were the needs identified to justify permitting gazebos within the setback. Permitting gazebos as the only structure within the setback. At the same time, council has indicated that no sufficient argument was provided to justify the need for a sauna or shed within the same area. If that was not clearly conveyed earlier, I appreciate the opportunity to clarify. Beginning with saunas, a sauna provides well-documented health benefits when used as intended, specifically through hot-cold contrast therapy. For that therapeutic effect to occur safely and effectively, proximity to the water is integral. Immediate access to cool water is what enables the physiological benefits associated with contrast therapy. Beyond that, water proximity enhances the experience itself. Views of the lake, the sound of water, and the natural setting all deepen relaxation and amplify the stress-reducing effects of sauna use. These are not incidental features, they are fundamental to how the sauna is intended to function.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've been over this now for the last 3 years, and we've made decisions on these things. And you're going back over stuff that we heard before, but council didn't adopt. So I'm not trying to cut you off, but you're just respinning the stuff that we've heard before and turned down. So I don't know where we're going with this. I think what Harcourt Park needs to do is put the brakes on until they find a solution for this.
I'm not a representative of Harcourt Park. I have nothing to do with this.
Okay, well.
With this, I am an individual that tries to point out something that that was apparently not conveyed earlier, like the needs for sauna. I mean, staff communicated with me telling that that was one of the main reasons why, for example, saunas and also sheds, to some respect, were not considered as having the same justification to be within the watershed, like a gazebo.
Well, I'm telling you that saunas have drains in them, and they were considered. So,
In,
just
I'm,
finish-
okay, Mr. Chair, if you allow respectfully, the question of the drain or the mentioning of the drain, this is an optional feature. It's typically not included if you buy a sauna, an outdoor sauna, and it's singularly a feature that may drain water that you can pour on the sauna stones to create steam. And most of that is typically evaporating on itself. So there is nothing environmentally questionable leaving these drains. They have, there is a sauna has no need, an outdoor sauna has no need whatsoever for a drain.
Okay, you made your point on the saunas. What's next?
Okay, a shed near the waterfront serves important safety, environmental, and accessibility purposes. Storing life jackets and safety equipment, for example, close to the water increases the likelihood that they are used consistently. Keeping heavy equipment, such as kayaks and paddleboards, at the shoreline reduces repeated dragging across sensitive vegetation, thereby minimizing erosion and environmental damage. It also improves safety by reducing the number of trips up and down steep or rocky cottage path, lowering the risk of slips and falls. Finally, it supports aging in place by minimizing carrying distances and making waterfront activities more accessible to older users. These are practical, not cosmetic considerations. And lastly, if I may, I would like to address consistency and fairness. Gazebos, sheds, and small saunas are functionally comparable in size and scale. When properly designed, they are similarly low-impact structures. Treating them differently without a clearly articulated rationale creates inequity, risks, undermining compliance, and may expose the bylaw to challenge. If council is not prepared to permit equal setbacks, I respectfully urge consideration of a reasonable compromise, such as allowing saunas and sheds at a slightly greater distance, for example, 8 or 10 meters from the high water mark. Such an approach would maintain shoreline protection while improving consistency and fairness in the application of the bylaw. These were my major concerns. And I just want to add, I mean, I understand that the visual appearance of the structures were also a concern of council. And in a gazebo has practically limitless options to how it comes out visually, while saunas and sheds are typically constructed by natural materials and also by nature have very limited design options. So there will be less surprises, I would say, and less options to offend someone when somebody puts a sauna or a shed within the watershed rather than a gazebo.
Okay, well, thank you for your opinion. I appreciate that. So you don't
Thank
think
you.
there's any issue with storing your gas cans in the sheds, eh?
No, I would not propose that by any means. The gas cans should not be stored in a shed in any kind of this structure.
Anyway, thank you for your opinion. We got a resolution, I believe, on the all those things were considered, just so you know, time after time after time. So anyway, we made the right decision, maybe we haven't, who knows? Anyway, we have a resolution to adopt the public meeting decided.
Yes, just bear with me for a second. Is council asking that I read the resolution?
Yes.
Okay. So be it resolved that council receive the staff report dated January 27th, 2026 related to the municipal official plan and zoning bylaw amendments to permit an accessory building in the minimum water setback. and that council directs a bylaw to adopt official plan amendment for file DO8 OP 2023-004 be brought forward for consideration during the regular council meeting on February 24th, 2026. And that council recommends approval of the proposed bylaw subject to proactive enforcement of the illegal structures within the minimum water setback. And that council directs zoning bylaw amendment file D14 ZB 2020-25-003 be brought forward for consideration during the regular council meeting on February 24th, 2026. And that council recommends approval of the proposed bylaw subject to the approval of the official plan amendment and subject to proactive enforcement of illegal structures within the minimum water setback.
Now, is someone from Harcourt Park there now?
I don't believe they're able to attend today.
Jeff, there is Dale Hawkins on Zoom, so Jen's just gonna bring him over now. Sorry.
What are they talking about? Harcourt Park? Yeah.
And through you, Mayor, Dale Hawkins is from the Redstone Lake Cottage Owners Association.
What's he do? Is he wants to talk about structures?
My understanding is she just wanted to listen. I wasn't sure if she had anything to say, but Dale can advise you that.
Okay.
Hi, it's Dale I'm actually from the LKO and I was just listening. I just wanted to have the opportunity to speak if I need be, but I don't need to say anything. So thank you.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it. Okay.
Murray, before we go to or vote on it, Jeff, can you summarize the whole thing for us here just quickly, like the sizes, the setbacks? Just a quick one so everybody understands where we are. We've been back and forth on this a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I'll do my best, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
I'll do it in this kind of form, but so a gazebo, size wise, what's our max?
So the max is 10 square meters for any structure, and currently permitted is a gazebo at 5 meters. However, if the lot is steep or has a topography greater than 15%, then a shed is also allowed at 5 meters. Or, sorry, they have to choose a maximum of one. It could be a gazebo or a shed, not and a shed.
Right.
But you have to close the shoreline to get that.
Yes, there are conditions. If that building is going to be located on a municipally owned shore road allowance, they will have to purchase that shore road allowance. They will be required to renaturalize their shoreline if it has been maintained, and they will also be required to enter into a site plan agreement.
So it's just not as simple as putting.
No, that's right.
on.
Yeah. And
Okay.
okay, sauna. Well, sauna's got to be set back what?
20 meters.
20. It's the 20.
5 meters. Oh, sorry, sauna, 20 meters or 30 meters, depending on what the minimum water setback is. So currently the policy says that no buildings are permitted within the minimum water setback. So the sauna would have to comply with the minimum water setback.
Okay. All right. And then, yeah, we already been over, they got to buy the road allowance. And when you're saying they can have 20 meters combined, right? So if you have a patio or a deck down at your lake shore and it's taken up 10 meters already, then obviously your other, well, say it's taken up 15 meters, then your gazebo would only be able to take up 5 meters. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think this is something that should be made clear for everyone. So the existing policy says that you're allowed to have a maximum of combined 20 square meters of deck and patio. The proposed structure will still keep that maximum combined gross floor area at 20 square meters, but it'll be combined between the deck, the patio, and the accessory building, being the sauna, or the gazebo or the shed. The benefit to this is even though council is permitting a small accessory building down by the lake, it's not necessarily increasing the area that can be developed down there over what is already permitted. So you're correct, Councillor Boyce. If they had 20 square meters already, they would have to put that gazebo either on their patio or on their deck, or they would have to remove some patio or some deck to be able to place that gazebo.
Okay. And the final thing, and I think you might already mention this, was 15% grade. That's what you guys are considering as a steep grade then, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what's proposed is 15% grade,
Okay.
measured over horizontally over 30 meters.
Okay.
We
And
may want to look at that at some point. I think too many of them qualify.
well, I was just gonna say, I don't, yeah, just to get it out there, almost all lots are 50, not all lots, but a lot of them are over 15% grade.
Maybe it should be 20. I don't
I
know.
don't know, but anyway, okay. Well, anyway, thanks, Jeff. That clarified a lot of stuff for us.
Are there any other questions from council? Yeah, we had the resolution, so we need a mover and second. Councillor Boyce, Councillor McKechnie, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, resolution then to go back into open council.
Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the public meeting at 9:32 and reconvenes the regular meeting of council.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, severance proposal. Redstone,
Yes.
who's doing that?
That'll be me. Thank you. So this is for D00SV-2024-014. So this is a severance application. The proposal involves a lot addition that would sever and convey a portion of the subject lands identified as roll number 041-000-76400 and merge with the abutting property identified as 041-000-76600. With the removal of the lakefront portion from the Wand property, the remaining lands will function as a backlot with frontage on privately maintained road. This configuration does not conform with the official plan, which requires backlots to have frontage on a publicly maintained road. Additionally, the retained parcel will be undersized and will not meet the minimum lot required for a backlot. Although the severance would technically create a backlot, that does not satisfy the intent of the official plan. The proposal may be supported on the basis that the retained lands be rezoned to a passive conservation use, which would be an open space that prohibits development. This rezoning ensures that the retained parcel will remain undeveloped and will continue to provide natural environmental functions. Any future proposal to develop the retained land would require a separate application under the Planning Act, such as a zoning bylaw amendment, and require supported studies and technical reviews. Although there are no circulation requirements in the Planning Act for a proposal for severance, this proposal was circulated to internal departments, and to date, no comments were received. And staff recommend that council support the general principle of the proposed severance, subject to the conditions identified in the report and additional input received through the public consultation process. And I believe that the consultant, Greg Bishop, is in attendance to speak to the application further or address any of council's questions that they may have.
Any questions? You're okay then, Greg? Good, okay. Okay, resolution then.
Yes. Yep. Sorry. Be it resolved that council support the general principle of the severance proposal for file number D00SV-2024-014 Lands of Wade, subject to following conditions and the comments received through the public review process and per the conditions as listed in the report.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Yes, through you, Mayor, Kathy Judson of Halliburton Gymnastics is requesting relief from planning and building application fees. She is in attendance and can speak to her request.
She is? Oh, there she is.
Hi there. Good morning, Mayor and members of Council. Thank you for allowing me to address you this morning. My name is Kathy Judson, and I'm heading up a community project to bring a professional gymnastics facility to Halliburton at 367 Industrial Park Road. The corporation has been established as a nonprofit, and its initial startup funding is completely reliant on community donations and the sponsorship of local businesses. A gymnastics facility in Halliburton will allow our youth to learn new athletic skills, build strength, stamina, agility, body awareness, and confidence in a positive setting with their community peers. Athletic development, whether at a recreational or competitive one, will provide our youth a solid foundation for health, fitness, and overall well-being that comes from regular exercise. Currently, the closest sanctioned gymnastics clubs are an hour or more away, and Halliburton families make the trip several times per week out of town. I would like to keep Halliburton families in Halliburton. Not only would it fill a gap in a much needed service for our youth, but it would benefit our local economy as families regularly leave Halliburton for sports. And in doing so, they buy their gas, they buy their groceries, they buy all kinds of things. They get their oil changed, buy home improvement supplies, etc. And they do this all in other towns. We have a suitable facility, highly skilled and experienced coaches, and certainly the market to make this a leading gymnastics club for our community. So as you can imagine, the cost to bring this to fruition are substantial. In order to retrofit the building and to purchase professional level equipment, our nonprofit is facing some big hurdles to see that this is done well and right. I've secured a loan with the HCDC for just under half of the minimum projected startup costs, but that loan is conditional to us securing the remaining amount. So far, I've been able to raise roughly $30,000 in donations and in-kind contributions from the community, with a few more donations on the horizon. So I'm here today to ask Council if you could kindly consider the challenge I have ahead of me to fund this project for the community and to waive any and all fees that would come from the town. Namely, we will need to rezone the building in question, perform previous permit searches, have a formal review done of the septic, etc. To do so, there is an initial request for $5,000 for the rezoning alone, and I imagine I have many more administrative costs ahead of me. I'm here today to ask you to consider the benefit of this club to the town, and in doing so, waive any and all fees associated with rezoning and permits. The town of Bracebridge partnered with the Muskoka Gymnastics Club and helped significantly with their funding. I'm not here today to ask Dysart to create funding for our club, but simply to support us by eliminating future payments that will set us back significantly in our fundraising efforts. Halliburton Gymnastics and the large community who support this endeavor, thank you very much for your time and consideration with this matter.
You did say this was a non-for-profit, didn't you?
I believe I said that. Yep, we're up at the beginning. Yeah, we're not for profit.
Okay. Do you have any idea what the fees are?
So there's an initial deposit. I'm requested to give up $5,000. I know there's more ahead of me as I move through the process, but I believe that $5,000 is to cover various administrative costs.
Okay. That's the zoning request, is it?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, and if I may, through you, Mayor, the report does break down some of the potential costs associated with this, and it notes that the total is approximately 8,000 at this time, and that's broken down between the zoning application fee, the septic review, the site plan application fee, and the $5,000 deposit for potential legal and engineering, as Kathy mentioned. So yeah, right now staff are kind of ballparking that request at about 8,000, but it might be slightly more depending on the value of the building permit.
Okay, this is a tough one to want to help, but I just don't know where we get to do all this servicing for nothing. Anybody got a comment? Nancy?
Would if we were to waive any of these fees, would they be considered an in-kind donation toward their fundraising effort? Like, would that work? If we could waive a portion of it, would that be classed as an in-kind? Jeff?
So I could try to answer that. It might be best to defer it to the treasurer, but typically I believe council would have some sort of account set aside for this type of in-kind donation to a not-for-profit organization. It's not budgeted for the planning and building departments. Braden might be best at answering that.
Not in the budget.
So we could consider it a donation in that way, but it isn't in the budget at all to do something like that. So that would be up to council if you want to move things around.
Are you required to do site plan out there?
Yes, there will be a requirement to amend the site plan agreement at minimum. There is an existing site plan agreement for the previous use. It could be just a minor amendment depending on what I guess the scope of the final development is.
Or you need a new septic system, you think? A lot of people out there. And I don't know where the parking's going to come from either. Not very much parking there, if you put the septic out there.
There's already a septic system on site. How would that calculation work, Jeff? Or like, is there showers in this? Going to be showers and no showers?
No showers.
So it's really going to be based on the employees and stuff like. So I don't think the septic is going to be a big issue, but maybe I'm wrong. But Jeff, you got any thoughts on that?
Unfortunately, I don't. I would defer that to the chief building official, but included in the costs being requested relief from today is a septic review application fee where Carl could go out there and look at that.
Is it essential that you get an answer today?
It would help me move things along. Time is of the essence, right? So essential, no. Helpful, yes.
I just like to make sure we get this right and we treat everybody the same here. So
Understood.
don't know that we can do that just in the spur of the moment. I understand the need for the community to have this service, and I think it's admirable that you're doing it. But I just would like to have some chance for some dialogue and get back to you with something that's not just a spur of the moment thing in case it isn't what you want. So with you, I'd like to do that. Go ahead.
Hello. In no way am I negative on your project, and I think it's fantastic. Anything for our youth and our community. I'm just wondering, you're going to be having like events, contests, or whatever you call it, or like, or you would be, or.
So we would have a competitive team. However, we would participate in events out of town. We wouldn't host any competitive events. We don't have the size for it. So our facility the majority of our facility would be recreational for recreational purposes, with a small competitive team that travels to provincial qualifiers in other towns that have the infrastructure.
Yeah, I was just curious to know, like, you say you were gonna host an event, like how many people would be there? That would definitely be a concern for a lot of areas in the building and things like that, but, if
So
you're
we're
not-
looking at like a typical class would probably have around 30 or so kids in multiple little groups. And then with a changeover, with coaches, parents, things like that, we're looking at maximum at one time in a changeover around 50 people.
Yeah.
And that's, that's an ambitious number.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much.
I'm personally in favor of deferring this till next month.
Murray, I think we need to sit down with all the planning departments and every department and find out exactly what everything's gonna cost. Then we'll know if we need this, we don't need that, and we can make a decision that, we might be able to promise her something today that she didn't actually need, and then,
Yeah, and then
yes.
can't do it because we've made that. Well, if there's going to be up to 50 people there, Barry, that's going to change the septic.
Well, it depends on their use.
Yeah.
Like it's not cut and dry, but I don't think it's great. I don't know what's in there for septic right now.
No, I don't either.
It could be a large septic because there was a lot of, it was
A lot of marijuana.
a lot of marijuana gonna go in there and a lot of water, right? So the septic could be,
Could be big, yeah.
substantial. right?
We need to know that. We
Yeah.
need to see that.
Yeah, so, but is there any way, Jeff, that we can help speed this up for as far as making sure our staff gets on it like right away? Cause I'm 100% for it. I understand what everybody's got their concerns about it, but anything for youth in our community, I'm very, very positive on.
Yeah, I am too, but
So-
we just got to get it right.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm just hoping that we could sort of get this along a little quicker than normal, if that's possible.
Thank you.
Yep, staff are happy to look at that. So just for clarity, is council really looking at whether, do you want us to report back on whether the septic would need to be replaced or increased?
I think we need to know that so that,
Yep.
and she needs to know it too, because if she's all of a sudden staring at a $40,000 or $50,000 bill for a new septic system, that I'm sure is going to change her plans.
Mhm.
That's stuff we need to get, find out about for sure.
And I understand she needs to know. She wants to move ahead here. So we'll try and get an answer as quickly as we can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. So can we have a resolution to defer it then?
Yeah, would you like me to read that out?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Be it resolved that council defer the request made by Kathy Judson of Halliburton Gymnastics for relief from the planning and building application fees and charges.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. We'll get to you as soon as we can, Kathy.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Cody Pertel. Is Cody here? Do you want to come up here then? Yeah, come right up here beside me. I'm friendly.
I'm cool with the trash and activity. All involved with us for a lot of country combat league. That's what we're going to be talking to you guys about today.
So to make sure you press the button. Speak.
Okay, cool. I'll wait till you guys all get the papers so you guys can all kind of keep track with me.
This is a one-time thing?
Oh, no, it's hopefully going to be an annual thing or a biannual, just depending on how many amateurs we can pull in. I'm starting off as a league. This is just the first event.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead then.
All right, thanks. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Cody Pertel, and I'm the owner of Cottage Country Combat League. Thank you for the opportunity to present and propose our host for our first amateur mixed martial arts event at AJ LaRue Arena on May 2nd. Our goal is simple: to bring professional run, fully regulated sporting events to Halliburton and prioritize safety, compliance, and community economic impact. This event will operate under Ontario Athletic Commission standards with full medical staffing, 10 million in liability insurance, professional security, and a written emergency action plan. We anticipate between 800 and 1,000 attendees, creating measurable economic benefits for hotels, restaurants, and local businesses. We're here today to ensure full transparency, confirm all municipality requirements, and work collaboratively with the town to execute this event at the professional, highest level standards. We're building this safe, structured, and beneficial community, and we wanted to do it right. So ahead of you guys, I have like a little event. Ahead of you guys, I have a little event overview, so you guys can kind of keep track and kind of know what I'm talking about. If you guys have any questions, you guys can talk freely at any time and ask me. I'm just going by this, so it's kind of organized. I know this stuff like the back of my hand, but this kind of just makes it easier for you guys to be able to read it too, right? So the event is going to be called Cottage Country Combat League. We're going to do it. It'll have like an event name for being in Halliburton for the first event we've ever been in here. It'll be proposed for May 2nd, 2026. So coming up in a few months. I'm hoping to do it at the venue at the AJ Arena right next door. Amateur mixed martial arts competitions with several pre-event grappling matches. I can't get approved for kickboxing or any other little events before it because I'm actually in a mixed martial arts cage. So I can get approved for a few grappling events before it. So I've got planning because I own Bancroft Boxing and Grappling in Bancroft. So I got a couple other like little guys that want to come in and do a little grappling events just to kind of portray and show everybody what athletes can start at, to show them how young people can actually start training at. There should be 800 to 1,000 spectators, participants, amateur athletes from all around Ontario and surrounding provinces. The purpose of this event is to provide professional run, fully regulated amateur combat sports in Halliburton. In the future, we're going to run a little bit of professional with amateurs, but right now it's just strictly amateurs. Create tourism with economic impact for local businesses, showcase local athletes, and youth development pathways. The regulatory compliance, we're doing everything that meets provincial and municipality standards. So we've been dealing with the Ontario Athletic Commission to get the event permits, officials, all the medical requirements to make sure that everything's done properly. We're dealing with $10 million liability insurance as required by the regulation. We've contacted physicians. We're dealing with paramedics to be on site. We have an ambulance to be on site too. We have certified referees, an emergency action plan written and will be submitted with our plan. I'm just waiting for you guys to approve things before I spend the money to send the permit in with them. The public safety measures. We got a professional security team coming in, controlled entrance and exit points, wristband ID for alcohol service, clear spectator separation from competition and crowd, a fire code occupancy limit strictly followed, use of AJ Arena. We'd be putting an MMA cage position at the center of the ice, structured seating layout with general admission up in the bleachers, and then the VIP sections would be around the cage on the ice floor. Ringside tables for sponsors and commentators, designated fire walkout entrance, staging areas, backstage locker room for athletes and officials. In Ontario, for amateur athletes, you actually have to do the weigh-ins the same day as the fights. So I'm going to do the weigh-ins upstairs at the auditorium there, just to kind of really get the experience for the young athletes, right? Operational considerations. So load in and setup time. We can do this all in the same day. We can tear it down that night. If we have to, we can. I've worked with the arena, so they said if we have to, we can do the next day, because they don't have anything booked for that days yet, right? The lighting and sound production, we got a full system, so it'll be live on YouTube so that everybody can see the athletes competing. Cleanup and restoration. We want to keep this facility in equal or better condition than when we first started. We're not trying to come in and make the place a mess. We're trying to come in and show everybody an awesome event and then clean it up after and show you guys like we actually respect the place. We'll be seeking clarification on whether to apply for a special occasion permit or partner with an existing licensed provider. Responsible alcohol services, so we got like smart serve staff, ID verification and wristband services to serve alcohol to them. Security will be monitoring all of our transactions at the alcohol and at the introduction when they come into the place. We plan on also having scans, so people will be getting scanned with metal detectors. We'd rather have the place safer than anything. When you're having alcohol and mixed martial arts, you'd rather it's safe than anything, right? Economic and community impact. Increased hotel bookings. There's going to be restaurants and bar traffic before the event. I have a little financial breakdown I can break down at the end for you guys. There's restaurant bar traffic before and after the event. Gas stations, retail shops, local businesses, vendors, sponsorship opportunities for Halliburton businesses, employment opportunities for local security, medical staff, and event workers. Community engagement. This is an opportunity for youth athletes to participate in grappling matches, potential fundraising collaborations with community organizations, development of Halliburton as a reoccurring combat sports destination. So I'll be honest, I was supposed to do this in Bancroft as the original because that's where I started. That's where I grew up. But the arena is actually under renovations over there. So you guys are lucky to have the first event in your town. And then hopefully in the future I'll have one there. But I want to keep this date. If everything gets approved for May 2nd, I'd like May 2nd to start off as like a reoccurring event every year. So we just keep coming back every May 2nd. I'll book the arena a year ahead so that everybody understands this is for real. And yeah, I just want to make this happen. We respectfully seek clarity. We want to find out the facility rental procedures, deposit requirements, any additional municipality permits required, the noise bylaws, operation time restrictions, policing requirements if required, the fire inspection scheduling and requirements. I talked to the arena about that already. Any municipality insurance endorsed needed. I just want full cooperation and want to make you guys realize that I'm trying to be completely compliant with you guys just so that there's no problems with this whole event. Honestly, like the direct impact on the community, I'll have at least 40 to 80 out of town guests for at least one night, maybe 2 nights. That's $150 to $200 a night. That's $6,000 to $30,000 for lodging impact alone for the town. Restaurant and bars, pre-event dining, post-event traffic, there could be 15 to 30,000 for there alone. Gas stations, 5 to 10,000. Local vendors, 10,000. We're looking at least 40 to 80,000 in one evening for this town. And just our vision, like I've said in the past, is just to make this an annual thing. And if it goes off good enough, we'll do this a couple times a year. I'm not really worried about that. There's athletes all over that want to compete. That's kind of the end of stuff that I got written down for you guys, but like I just wanted to say that amateur mixed martial arts only legalized like a year ago? I think a year and a half ago. So like yeah, so like all the athletes in Ontario had to travel to Montreal. They got to travel to Alberta. They got to go out of province to actually compete. They got to go down to the States and stuff. Why can't they compete in our backyard? You know, that's all I'm trying to do is make everybody realize that. So, yeah. Thank you guys.
Very good. The $10 million liability, are we named as a third party there?
I'm pretty sure you guys have to be named in. The arena has to be named in. I have a bunch of different things. I just wanted to get it all clarified as I'm talking to the insurance to have everything clarified. But I've talked to 3 or 4 of the other insurance places that are dealing with all the other promotions around Canada. So I'm just dealing with everybody. I'm good friends with Sonny Serene, so he owns Unified. I've been talking with the owner of BTC lately. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat.
Excuse me. Any questions? Paul?
Yeah, so what would the age group start at?
So for the competing or for competing in Ontario now, now amateur athletes can actually compete at the low age of 13 years old. But at 13 years old, you have to have headgear and everything. There can be no head strikes for anybody until you're 18. Once you hit 17, 18, then the rules start changing as you have like 4 mixed martial arts events to more, they start changing the rules a little bit. So it kind of brings you into the more dangers. But at the beginning, there's no head strikes. That's why I don't personally, like at the gym, even I don't allow striking for little guys. I just technique. It's all technique, right? That's what you want to learn. So the way I'm doing this one, I'm hoping to have a couple grappling matches with kids as young as 10 years old, 11 years old, just to show up and really show everybody what talent is. Like I have a kid at my gym that just won gold at Durham Classic. I want to get that kid ahead of this. I want to get him a kid of everybody and show everybody, look, there's a 12-year-old kid.
So
It's
the,
crazy.
so
But all the athletes will be fighting at like 18 and up, sorry.
and then, explain to me just quickly,
Yeah.
what type of, like, are they boxing?
It would be mixed martial arts. Yeah, so it would be everything. It would be boxing, kickboxing, plus grappling all at once. So type of UFC, except UFC is mixed martial arts, except they've broadcasted their name to be the UFC Ultimate Fighting
So
Championship.
it'll be that type of a competition.
Yes, exactly. And then all the kids events at the beginning that I'm hoping to have a couple of them because they've already sanctioned and telling me I can have grappling events. I want to have a couple of kids just to show everybody because there's a couple kids from KO martial arts here in town and then from my gym in Bancroft that are like they're talented. And I just want to show everybody like, look, these are kids. You guys should train. Like it's good for everybody. It's healthy, right? So
That's great.
so
How do you promote it?
oh, what, sorry?
How do you promote it?
Honestly, I just social media and I go around to all the gyms around and I just train. I train with everybody's gyms, right? So I've been going up to Kingston lately and I've been it's called dojo hopping. So I go dojo hopping and go to all these different dojos and I get to wrestle and train with their people. And then they understand I'm a real person. It's not just something they could see on the internet. So I show up, I show them how good my wrestling is and show them my stuff. And they're like, wow. And now all these gyms want to have their athletes at this event. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how it's all working, being honest.
Yeah.
But what were you saying, Matt? Sorry, I see you with your hand up.
Any discussion from council? Yeah, I think so. It's so there's no ice on May, right? There's no ice and the ice is out.
Yeah, it's right after the ice gets out. I've been coordinating with a couple of people. I can't remember their names right offhand right now. I got them on emails, but I've been coordinating with everybody and I went and met with them and they were super excited to just kind of hear how much detail I put into everything. Cause like I'm trying to make this like the best. Like, I don't know. That's how I've always done my athleticism, trying to be the best. So like I'm trying to make this like stand out. So everybody from around the cities are gonna go, we're coming to Halliburton for this. You know what I mean? Like we're not traveling from Halliburton to the city. We're coming to Halliburton to watch this. That's my plan anyway, right? So, and the biggest thing that all the other people have been now doing, they're starting to get better on social media. So they're starting to put their fighters on YouTube. They've never done this in the past. So like all these fighters in Lindsay, for example, I'm good friends with Joe Elliott, the owner of Big Country in Lindsay. He has a bunch of fighters going to Montreal and they fight in amateur leagues over there. And there's no footage. They have to come back. Their family doesn't get to see them fight. And they get to just word of mouth. Oh yeah, I done this. That's not very cool. Technology nowadays, everybody should be watching. So when I was talking to the manager at the arena, he said that they just got it videoed up so they could do the hockey arena. So I was like, oh sweet. So I'll be able to hook up to the Ethernet and I'm going to do a live feed so everybody in the world can watch the athletes, not just a couple people at the arena, right? Like I want these people to get proper exposure so they can get somewhere, not just fight in the hometown leagues. Like I want people to get to the UFC. That's the plan, right? Biggest plan for everybody.
Any other questions? Well, that's good. That's a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council approves the request for the Cottage Country Combat League to host an amateur mixed martial arts event at the AJ LaRue Arena, provided the following conditions are met. Rental fees are paid for prior to the start of the event. Seating capacity and arrangement meet the fire code. An insurance certificate in the amount of $10 million in liability insurance is provided at least 2 weeks in advance, naming the municipality of Dysart as an additionally insured. A special occasion permit is obtained and displayed at the arena. The event organizer is responsible for obtaining an ESA check. The event organizer is responsible for providing security, medical staff, officials, etc., and that council deems this event as municipally significant.
Okay. Mover and seconder, Nancy and Walt. Do you think I'm too old to do this now?
Oh, I think you should show up. I think
okay.
you should show up, man. I think it'd be a good. Never too old, man. Never too old. I think
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. I think all you guys should show up, and if you guys want, I'll keep a table for all you guys. That anybody's interested who's showing up, heads up, because it's going to be really neat, you guys. There's been nothing like this anywhere in this whole area. So, thank you guys.
Okay. Fire department, Dan?
You can stay if you want.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Sorry for the delay there. Hopefully everyone can see me and hear me okay.
Oh, we can, Dan, go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. I have 3 quick reports for you today. My standard regular monthly report, just to give you an update on fire department activities first. Based on numbers compared to last January, we are pretty much on par to run approximately 500 calls again this year, unfortunately. So 41 calls for January this year versus 40 last year. Do note, though, we've been to more accidents and snowmobile accidents this year than last year, unfortunately. But it's nice to see the alarm numbers are down. But again, that's balancing out our numbers pretty good. And as well, just I put a note in there that the fire protection grant, we're proceeding with the purchase to facilitate our rehab stuff, that inflatable shelter that I had requested. So,
Okay.
and any questions about my fire report there?
Yes, Nancy.
So Dan, I'm aware that we've done a couple of mutual aid calls in the last month. Are those, or at any point, but are those captured in your report as like a structure fire? Are those mutual aid calls captured in that report?
They're not in this report. This is January, so those were more recent. They're actually would be February incidents, but I can touch on them. We don't. The one they actually would have an automatic aid, which is what we've been working on. So to help make sure that we get loss of manpower there early on, we've kind of have a sort of a handshake deal with the neighboring municipalities this time to test this out. And so what happens is when there's a structure fire called, we're having the neighboring department called immediately to make sure we've got lots of resources on hand, and hopefully we can be turned down and sent back.
But do those get like, so your February report for structure fires, are those mutual aid calls going to be captured in those numbers of structure fires, or those?
Yes, they will.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, then we should have a resolution on that portion of it. The first one, the fire department's report. Yeah, go ahead.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for January 2026.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Tammy, all in favor? Okay, now the fire truck replacement.
Yes, so fire truck number 1, referred to as number 1, is a 2007 GMC 3500 pickup truck with a custom built box for it. That is actually our most significant truck for responses. It's the one that goes out for all of our medical calls. It also carries our portable pumps. And so it responds to the majority of our calls. It's now met its 20-year lifespan as of 2027, so it'll be fully amortized and it's time to be replaced. So I'm seeking the permission to start the RFP so that we can have it replaced promptly in the next years. And what I'm suggesting is we do not actually require a custom built box going forward because of what we're carrying in it. Well, we would like to be equipping it with, say, a rollout drawer and a cap that we can put shelving and stuff in it. That would suffice for the equipment that we are currently carrying. So I'm looking at a standard vehicle, in the sense like a pickup truck with a regular box, whether we look for, we're looking at maybe dually wheels on the rear because we're towing a heavy snowmobile trailer.
So I just let them know it's something that can be purchased from pretty much any dealership, but we still need the upgrades on it. But rather than having a specially made one, as we just had done for our rescue truck, which is number 5, which we just replaced.
Any questions on that? Okay, a resolution there.
Be it resolved that council approve the issuance of an RFP for the replacement of fire truck number 1, being a 2007 GMC 3500 truck with a custom-built work box, and further that the replacement truck will be a standard industry pickup, and further that it will be included in the 2027 mayoral proposed budget.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen, Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, and fire truck 5 surplus.
Yes, so thank you very much for your support. We've recently, over the last 2 years, worked through the process to have our fire rescue truck, which we refer to as number 5, replaced. The new truck was delivered to us here on February 12th, and we put it into service immediately, transferred the equipment over. And so now the old 550 2006 Ford as being considered surplus, as it has met the end of its life. It's fully amortized and ready to be replaced. I did note in there that we were offered through the company carrier that has replaced our new truck a wholesale option trade-in value of $8,000 to $18,000. So I want council to be aware of that. But in keeping with usual practice and ensuring transparency, it's recommended that this surplus vehicle be placed on Gov Deals as per our current policies. So I just want to be aware of that in case council felt they wanted to go differently.
All right, I got a comment on that. Dan, is this a 6-liter Ford? The diesel?
Yes.
Well, I don't know who offers 18,000 bucks, but we should jump on that because it will not go for that on Gov Deals. Nobody's going to buy that truck with that motor because they're such a piece of crap. Nobody wants them. If we can get 18,000 wholesale, I think we should take it. I really do.
Okay, well, you probably know. That's okay to do that, Dan?
Like, I don't think we'll get 5,000 bucks on Gov Deals for this truck. Because I know Ford dealerships most times won't even take these in on trade. Because I have lots of customers that have had them over the years and they want to trade them in on new trucks, and as soon as they see what motors in it, they don't even want them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, Gov Deals, it's more of a standard operating procedure instead of a policy that we do Gov Deals. If either Dan or council feel like the 18,000 is fair market value, then it's perfectly within your right to take it.
Okay then.
Do you have a recommendation offhand how to reword your resolution, Dan, in terms of switching it over to the trade-in?
I don't.
So we've declared it surplus.
We just need to be declared surplus still. That can't change. And then recommend, I guess, versus council vote here to recommend going to the wholesale option by a company called Brindley.
What's the name of the company?
Brindley.
So would it be it resolved that fire truck 5, being a 2006 Ford F-550 with a custom walk-in work box, be declared surplus, and further that staff be directed to dispose of the surplus vehicle directly to Brindley for $18,000. Is that we said 18,000? And further that any funds resulting from the disposal be allocated to the fire vehicle reserve fund.
Yeah, that sounds
Does that
great.
make sense for everyone?
Of course, you've heard, you want to read that? Are you all in favor of it? Mover and seconder, Carmen and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll work on that.
Okay. Building and bylaw, Abby? You got the whole weight of your shoulders this today. Okay, building permit activity.
Report is there. She didn't know Carl was gonna be.
No. Well, that was a surprise, okay. But we do have the numbers there.
Yeah.
So we can do a resolution on it.
Be it resolved that council receive the 2025 building permit activity report as information.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Okay. Thank you. The January building report, we have that as well. Next resolution.
Be it resolved that council receive the January 2026 building permit activity report as information.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, now Abby, bylaw update.
Our bylaw update's pretty standard. I listed the new complaints. We've had 2 lottery licenses and 1 transient trader license since the last council meeting.
Okay, resolution on that.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the February 2026 bylaw update report.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Short-term rental report.
Question.
Okay, Tammy, did you have a question?
I just have a quick question. It says 27 new complaints for short-term rental. Are they from the hosts or from the people?
So it is from the public. It is described a little bit more in the short-term rental report.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead
okay.
then.
Yeah, so in the short-term rental report, applications are still coming in pretty steady. Anyone who misses their renewal date, they count as a new application. Same process as the original application. We're still working on gaining compliance with property owners. We issue, you get a warning letter stating please apply before we do any type of enforcement. For the complaints, as it was discussed kind of last council meeting, through the host compliance 24/7 hotline, since we have started the program, we've had 53 complaints come through. They're considered complaints because they're coming through there. A lot of those are also just people looking for information, calling that hotline. So just gonna look, sorry. So the complaints, total number of complaints from the public that we have investigated since the start of the program was in 2024, we had 1. In 2025, we had 15. In 2026, we had 22. Out of the 27 complaints that are on the bylaw report, not all of them are valid complaints. I investigated them, and these are the ones that we are moving forward with. Some of them were just listed the wrong way, or they were giving me an address where there wasn't an actual rental happening.
Any discussion on this?
So just out of the, is it 27 complaints that were legitimate out of the 53? Is that 27?
There are 22
20
legitimate complaints out
okay.
of the 26.
And out of those 22, who is it coming from the host? Like, do you
It's
know
come
the
from
difference?
the public. So we do have the hotline. We still receive the majority of our complaints through PSD and through email to staff. Just that, they either send it to the bylaw email or to our STR email directly. So out of those 27 complaints, only 22 were valid for me to do any type of enforcement with.
Okay, so out of the 22 valid ones then, that's good that you broke it down. The typical complaint, is it though from a neighbor or is it from the host?
It's just from the public.
You don't know?
Yeah, I can't really. Yeah.
I would think the hosts are the ones that are majorly complaining, that's all. So I just want to know.
Yeah, we don't usually see complaints coming from people hosting the short-term rental. It's usually the complaints from the public regarding short-term rentals in their area.
Okay.
So you either like it or you don't.
pretty much.
What can you just, what would one of the biggest complaints be?
A lot of them are a lot of them think people are being over occupancy, you know, they see 10 cars there. It could, a lot of the time, it's just their family over. And it's not a short-term rental. We give we give them a call, or I send a general communication letter to the property, describe that I received a complaint. I look for any type of advertisement. And then some are over occupancy with the septic code. So people will send me the listing ad sometime, or like so the public will send me a listing ad showing that, you know, their occupancy is 10 on a 3-bed system, to which I give them a warning, hey, you need to change your occupancy or I'm going to issue some fees.
So some of these complaints really aren't anything to do with short-term rentals then?
Correct.
Okay.
Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council receives the report short-term rental program report, February 2026 from the bylaw department.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Tammy, all in favor? Thanks, Abby. You've done a good job for the time you've been on the job. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's a complicated and it's not easy. Good for you. Okay, I think we have a 10-minute break here now. Before we do. Okay. Okay, Public Works. Dave?
Good morning, council.
Morning, Dave.
Sorry about that. I wasn't connected. My road maintenance status report for January 2026. So basically, brushing and tree removal. So removal of fallen trees as required. We have snow plow ice blades for grader. So ice blading as required, high winging and benching of snow banks. Snow plowing and removal. So snow plowing and removals as required to meet a level of service standards, and sanding and salting to meet those standards also.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, well, at least you're getting a little break in the snow now, Dave.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, your culverts will be likely frozen, but anyway, that's another story. Okay.
We've actually got fairly lucky so far, knock on wood.
Okay, that's fair. Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council receives this report outlining roads maintenance activities for January 2026 as information.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Thanks, Dave. Okay, Rob?
Good morning, Mayor, members of council. I'm here today to present the results of our road resurfacing tender. This was quite a nice surprise. In all honesty, it came in well under budget. Greenwood Paving came in at the end of the day, we're probably going to be about $250,000 under at the end of the year. And this is a company that has been around for quite a long time. I've seen their work, albeit many years ago, and we have no concerns recommending this company for the work.
That's good news for a change. We can hardly handle good news anymore.
Trying my best.
I know. You do. Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council award the 2026 road resurfacing tender being RFT 2026 PW02 to Greenwood Paving, Pembroke Limited for $987,474.09 plus applicable HST, and that the work be funded by the 2026 roads construction budget.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen Barry, all in favor? Carry. Okay. Okay, waste management summary.
Good morning, Mayor and members of council. Our Q4 2025 waste management summary. For our fourth quarter of 2025, we saw a slight vehicle decrease by 1.7%. For the full year, it stayed relatively the same. For our tonnage, our blue box had a decrease of almost 11% for the fourth quarter. Our garbage increased by 4.4%, and our construction and demolition waste had a decrease of approximately 10%. In 2025, for the full year, our blue box had a 1.4% increase, garbage had an 11% increase, and construction and demolition waste had a 3.5% decrease. Revenue for our fourth quarter had a decrease of 6.2% and a decrease of 3.6% for the full year. Expenses, blue box stayed the same. Garbage hauling and processing increased by about 2.7%. And our construction and demolition waste and hauling decreased by 9.3%. Our total hauling and processing cost decreased by 2.38%. For the full year, blue box stayed the same. Garbage hauling and processing increased by 9.5%. Construction demolition decreased by just under 6%, and our total hauling and processing costs had an increase of 3.2%. Are there any questions?
So how did our budget end up at the end of the year?
No, we stayed approximately on track with what we had budgeted. I think we were below the amount we had to spend.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, my next report is the 2026.
We'll do a resolution
Oh,
on.
sorry.
Okay, well,
Yeah, can you tell me what the total costs were for hauling, please?
Yep. I just have to look at my tiny spreadsheet. Sorry.
okay. Resolution on that.
Okay, thank you.
Be it resolved that council receive this report for informational purposes.
Okay, move seconder. Carmen, Tammy, all in favor? Carry. Okay, waste management events.
Okay, so in 2026, Dysart will be hosting 5 waste management events. We'll have 3 household hazardous waste events at the Halliburton Landfill, Harcourt Landfill, and West Guilford landfills. And there will be 12 events hosted across the county that residents can attend. We will also have our 5th annual New to You community yard sale held at the AJ LaRue Arena parking lot, as well as the 3rd Great Halliburton clothing swap in partnership with Fleming College, which will be held in the Great Hall of Fleming College on October 3rd.
Okay. Discussion or resolution on that one.
Be it resolved that council receive this report for information regarding 2026 municipal waste management and diversion events.
Okay, mover and seconder. Tammy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, requests for security camera.
Yep. So I am requesting we divert 30,000 from our final cover budget that was approved in order to implement a stronger security system at the Halliburton, West Guilford, and Kinesis Lake landfills. As you are all aware, we've had frequent trespassing. On January 7th, while Dave was doing his nightly operations, he encountered multiple individuals in the Halliburton landfill, and the OPP were called. I believe one individual was arrested. Our Kinesis Lake site has frequent trespassing. Individuals are dropping their waste off and scavenging items, which goes against our environmental compliance approval. And I will be following the standard procurement policy for this. The cost could be up to 30,000. I did get a quote from one business that came in at about 10,000 for the 2 sites, but I'm just looking for some flexibility in spending.
Well, go ahead, Carmen.
Ashley, I got a question. Okay, so
Mhm.
7 people were seen there and they arrested 1. I guess my question is, we put these cameras up and
Mhm.
we identify who's done it. Are the police going to do anything anyways? Or is this
Uh,
just like the guy that was charged? What did he get charged with? Was there any outcome of that? Or was it just a don't do it again?
I'd have to file a Freedom of Information request to get more information on what took place. But I have spoken with the OPP at the Minden Detachment, and they are quite proactive and willing to assist us. At West Guilford, when we were able to identify an individual before, they did attend the property adjacent, and bylaw was able to issue a trespassing fee.
Like I've talked to numerous of our dump operators over the past few years, and they said that they'll take the garbage that's left at the gate on a long weekend or so whatever, and they'll go through it and they'll find a name and they'll phone whoever. Nothing's ever been done of it. They just say, "I'll just throw it in the dump. Don't worry about it." So, are we going to enforce this if we spend all this money, or is this just a kind of a deterrent?
I would like it to be enforced. I definitely think we could generate some great revenue enforcing the illegal dumping and trespassing that's happening.
But can we?
Well, we have our waste management bylaws that have set fees in them that we could enforce.
I've since I've heard about this, I have concerns that, first of all, we've got the gates locked. We've got a sign on them that you're not supposed to enter unless they're open. Like how far do we have to go here and how much money do we have to spend? Like 30,000 is a lot of money. If it's not going to work. And I'm not sure that I've ever seen any of our security cameras that really work that well. So I don't know what what was the quote for 10,000? What did that do?
So that provided to our security systems at the Haliburton and West Guilford sites, 2 cameras per site. And there was also some wiring that would need to be done at West Guilford because they don't have electrical lines that run. It would also improve safety for our staff when they're coming in early in the morning. You know, sometimes they don't know who they're going to run into.
They should be able to know there has to be a car parked there or something has to be parked there. When people-
Sorry.
No, that's not always the case, Mayor. I've seen it myself. You go in through the gate and there's people standing inside and there's no vehicles around. So
Okay. Must be a nice place to go to visit.
apparently, yep.
Well, I just think that there's only so much we can do. And yeah, exactly. And if they're going to do regular patrols, then they first thing in the morning when the problem is, or after dark, or after they're closed, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to try the 10,000. That's like where I am.
I do think we should start to enforce the illegal dumping though. Yeah, it's
Yep.
supposed to go through garbage, but if you can find an identifier and then, you know, do a fine. That's why we have the bylaw.
Yes.
But you got to prove that it was them that put it there.
Well, nobody else is gonna have garbage with their name on it.
Hmm.
If they wanted to, if you go through AMPS, then they don't have a lot of recourse, correct?
But the courts are so bad, you'll never get a charge.
We don't have
If you
AMP
do AMP,
though,
they don't have it's not like they can say, I'm not paying it, I'm gonna go to court.
but we don't have amps yet. We'd have to implement that. Yep. Mhm. Definitely. We used to have on occasion, probably 10 or 12 years ago, our bylaw officer would go out at times and kind of monitor the gates, especially Kinesis and stuff seemed to have a big problem with people leaving stuff. But
Yeah.
there was a little bit of a time period where there was more proactive enforcement on that kind of thing.
Well, we're down to one bylaw person now, so.
Well, I'd say let's go with the $10,000 one and we can upgrade that if we find it's necessary in the future and see how it even, if it does any good.
Well, my concern, Ashley, is you're not going to be able to find $30,000 in the construction waste because it's going down every year. So if you don't find that, we're going to have a $30,000 deficit in our landfill budget.
So here's a thought. Which one is the worst for trespassing and whatever? Which dump is the worst?
I would say West Guilford and Haliburton are on par.
So then
They're both almost nightly.
what if we were to just to start at Halliburton and see how it pans out and then we don't waste as much money? If it works great, very well, then we move it to the next dump and the next dump.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Well, probably we can start with 5 or 6 for Halliburton and see what happens. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ashley, do you know that number? Like, is it a per site or?
So both.
The easiest because we have hydro and everything there, right?
I can share with you the quote I received. There were some various options. It would depend if we were digging trenches or the local business I had reached out to. It's quite a detailed quote. And yeah, they've given some different options with Ethernet cables being run, the labor. I can share this with all of you.
Yeah.
We have an amended resolution if you want.
Be it resolved that council approve the implementation of better resolution cameras at the Haliburton landfill. And that council approve a budget of up to $6,000 reallocated from the final cover budget.
That's exactly what, but I'm not sure we're going to save that 6,000. That's what bothered me. Okay. All right. Okay, you heard the resolution. All in favor? Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carrie.
we had, once these cameras are up and running, that we get a monthly report on activity?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Could I also add something that if they do, you know, can make out exactly who the person is and they charge them, can that might deter people from being news in the newspaper? Like, so-and-so was caught scavenging in the.
But you can't get it in the newspaper. That's the problem. And like you should, you're right.
I guess that's not a good idea.
I guess we could put it on the social media. Anyway, move on.
Thank
Okay,
you.
finance, Braden?
Yep. First up is the monthly check summary. Just housekeeping there.
Okay. Any questions on that? Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the January 2026 check summary.
Mover and second. Nancy and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Councilor enumeration.
So another of the annual reports we have to prepare for council is the statement of remuneration. So the total wages, mileage claims, and PHA benefit claims that are made for the year.
Okay, that's public knowledge. Mover and seconder. Oh, a resolution, sorry about that.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the 2025 council and committee remuneration report as information.
Okay, mover and seconder. Tammy and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, tax collection policy.
So this is a new one. So the Municipal Act, the Assessment Act contain guidelines around how property taxes are billed, collected, how tax sales work, that sort of thing. And then there's room in there for the municipality to create operating procedures and practices. And it's fairly common practice in municipalities to have a tax collection policy that bridges that gap and acts as an operating guideline for staff as they're following that legislation. So we didn't have one before, but I've written one and it's included in the packages there. It's basically a pretty high level summary of what we do as far as the tax billing and collection functions. And I think hopefully it'll make it easier for staff as we're executing that function. It gives fairly clear guidelines on what we're doing, and yeah.
Okay. Does everybody understand this? Okay. So we're endorsing this then. Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council adopts policy number 75, being a policy to govern the collection of property taxes as enclosed.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Braden. Okay, Tamara? Revised accessibility.
This is actually Amanda worked on this. It's like that we, sorry. Amanda worked on this update for us. It's legislated that we have an updated policy. Part of it was called an accessible customer service policy. Now it's the integrated accessibility policy. There's nothing significant in it that's changed. It's mostly just referencing legislative new definitions and so forth.
Changes in the act.
Yeah. And the county's also recently approved the accessibility plan that we all contribute to in terms of what our improvements have been over the years. So that's posted on our website.
Okay, any questions for Tamara? Sounds like it's according to legislation and resolution.
Be it resolved that council adopts the integrated accessibility policy as presented.
Mover and second. Carm and Tamara. No, Tammy. Tamara, you can't move second resolution. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Back to planning. Chris and Jeff.
Okay, thank you. This is for the application that was heard this morning for Grierson for the zoning bylaw amendment. There were no comments or concerns, and if unless council has any comments or concerns, I can read the resolution.
Okay, go ahead.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-18 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2005-120 for the lands of Grierson, which consists of part lot 6, concession 9, part 2 on plan 19R 6640 in the geographic township of Guilford, municipality of Dysart et al., which would change the zoning of the subject property from waterfront residential type 4L and environmental protection to waterfront residential type 6L and environmental protection. Be read a first, second, third time, pass, sign, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next.
Thank you. The next one is for the bylaw 2026-19, which is for the lands that were heard this morning of zoning file D14 ZB 2025-020, lands of 2772318 Ontario Inc. No comments or concerns, and unless council has comments or concerns, I can read the resolution.
Sure.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-19 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2005-120 for the lands of 2772318 Ontario Inc., which consists of part lots 7 and 8, concession 14, part 1 through 6, Plan 19R 6070 in the geographic township of Havelock, municipality of Dysart et al., which would change the zoning of the subject property from waterfront residential type 6L to waterfront residential type 3L. Be read first, second, third time, pass, sign, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay. Mover and seconder. Carm and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Okay, the next one is for a holding provision or the removal of a holding provision. On January 27th, 2026, Council approved a site-specific zoning amendment to rezone the property from waterfront residential type 4 and open space -1 exception zone to waterfront residential type 4 and open space -15 with a holding provision and exception zone. The purpose of this amendment is to recognize the existing hot tub deck and roof structure located in the open space -1 zone, where such development is currently not permitted. The OS-1 zone functions as a nutrient uptake buffer along the shoreline of Mesquabi Lake, which is identified as a lake trout lake at capacity. Section 3C of bylaw 2026-06 established conditions of site plan agreement that must be satisfied prior to the removal of the holding symbol from the subject property. The owner has requested the removal of the holding provision as the conditions outlined in section 3C of bylaw 2026-06 have been met. This enables the holding symbol to be lifted, thereby allowing the property to fully be zoned as the waterfront type 4 and the open space -15. And the resolution, unless council has any comments or concerns, I can read the resolution.
Go ahead.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-20, which is an amending bylaw to remove the holding provision from bylaw 2026-06 for the lands of Stewart, which consists of part lots 17 and 18, concession 4, lot 27, Plan 636, Plan 19R 6824, Part 2, in the geographic township of Dudley, the municipality of Dysart et al., which would change the zoning from waterfront residential type 4 and open space -1 exception zone to waterfront residential type 4 and open space -15 exception zone. Be read a first, second, third time, sign, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. Any discussion? All in favor? mover and seconder, I guess I should have got. Barry and Nancy, all in favor then? Thank you. Okay. Next. Stuart.
Yes, thank you. Bylaws 2026-9 and 10 are for the municipally led official plan and zoning bylaw amendments to permit a structure within the minimum water setback. So at the public meeting this morning, council passed a resolution recommending approval of these bylaws. If council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, but if not, I can read the resolutions.
Any questions? Yeah, pardon? Yeah. Do we want to record? Okay, Nancy's asked for a recorded vote. So read the resolution.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-09, which is a bylaw to adopt official plan amendment number 6, an amendment to the municipality of Dysart official plan to update the shoreline policies to permit one building near the shoreline of a water body be read a first, second, third time, signed and the corporate seal attached thereto. Staff are directed to forward official plan amendment number 6 to the County of Haliburton for approval. And further, that bylaw 2026-10, being an amendment to the zoning bylaw 2005-120, a general amendment to implement definitions and provisions to permit an accessory building within the minimum water setback, be read a first, second, third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. And further, that council directs the bylaw enforcement department to proactively enforce illegal structures located within the minimum water setback.
Okay, so it's a recorded vote. So we need a mover and seconder, and then we'll have the vote. Mover and second. Walt and Barry. Okay, all in favor? Okay, now recorded vote. Tammy?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Nancy?
I'm opposed.
Okay. Walt?
Yes.
Okay, and I'd say yes, so it's carried. Okay, next.
Okay, thank you. The next item is an application or a bylaw to close and convey a road allowance in between the lands of Cluche and Rempel and Fearing on Musquaby Lake. The notice and circulation requirements have been completed. General comments were received from the municipality, from the County of Haliburton, but they didn't have any specific concerns. Subject to any council questions or directions, staff recommend approval of the bylaws.
What was the price of that?
The purchase price, so there's two halves. One half was set at $50,000, whereas the other half was set at $30,000.
All right, I thought that was the case, but okay. All right. So away we go, resolution.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-21, being a bylaw to stop up, close, and convey part of the original road allowance between lots 15 and 16, concession 3, and part of the original shore road allowance in front of the road allowance between lots 15 and 16, concession 3, in the geographic township of Dudley, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. And further, be it resolved that bylaw 2026-22, which is a bylaw to deem lots 47 and 48 on registered plan 636 in the township of Dudley, not to be within a plan of subdivision for the purpose of section 50, subsection 3 of the Planning Act, as amended, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. This bylaw is intended to allow lots 47 and 48, registered plan 636, to merge with the original road allowance, which has been closed and conveyed pursuant to bylaw 2026-21.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy? Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next. Miller Lake.
So Miller Lakes Conservation have applied to purchase the original shore road allowance in front of their property. The property is currently vacant and is subject to some consent applications. The shore road allowance will be conveyed for addition to the appropriate and resulting lands from that consent application. Subject to any questions, staff recommend approval of the application.
Okay, resolution then.
Sorry, I got to get used to that's supposed to be me. Be it resolved that council approves for processing application LO7 RO 2025-012 by Millers Lake Conservation to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance being parts 3, 4, and 5 on the preliminary plan along the shore of Guilford Lake in front of lot 34, concession 8 in the geographic township of Guilford. These lands are declared surplus.
Discussion? Mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Next.
This is another new application. Mr. Hughes has applied to purchase the original shore road allowance in front of his property on Elephant Lake with the intention of resolving encroachment concerns. Staff recommend that the private cabin, the privy, and the shipping container be reviewed by bylaw enforcement staff for compliance with the zoning bylaw and the building code. My understanding is there's some side lot line setback issues and perhaps a structure that doesn't comply with the building code. Subject to those conditions, staff recommend approval and request permission to process this application.
That's quite a lot of violations to recommend approval for, but okay.
It sounds worse than it is.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Because it sounds pretty bad to me, but anyway. Okay, so Tammy? You move, Tammy moves, Carm seconds, all in favor? Carrie, okay, next.
Next is another new application by Mr. Auger and Miss Grant Auger, who have applied to exchange the shore road allowance in front of their property on Halliburton Lake for a deed to a traveled portion of Dignan Road, which bisects their property. So this is one of those instances where the municipal road was not built on the road allowance as per the plan of subdivision and actually bisects the applicant's property. So in these instances, the municipal act directs that compensation is appropriate where there's these encroachments. Historically, for similar applications, the administration fee has been waived. There are no land costs to recognize the exchange, and the municipality pays its own legal fees. The applicant in turn would be responsible for the costs of the survey, advertising, and then they would pay for their own legal fees as well. If council agrees, staff will request that the municipal solicitor add a mechanism on title to prevent the lots from being sold separately. Given that once we take a road allowance bisecting this property, it will create two separately conveyable lots with the back portion not being of sufficient size to even build on. The Director of Public Works recommends that the road allowance, if council agrees, that we take 10 meters from the center line of the traveled portion of Dignan Road each way for a total of a 20-meter road allowance. Subject to this direction, staff recommend approval and request permission to process this application.
Okay. Moved by Barry, second by Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next.
So the last one is another road closing application for a numbered company, 277-2318 Ontario Inc. has applied to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their property on Coagama Lake. The applicant's intent is to consolidate their two properties before the bylaw is passed, which would allow the bylaw to proceed as one consolidated lot. And then after that happens, the long-term intent is to sever this parcel into 3 separate lots. And council did see that application earlier on the agenda. The property is currently vacant and staff have no concerns, and staff request direction and permission to process this application.
I just have a question for Jeff. Why is there no civic address? Just because it's
vacant. Typically, those addresses will be applied once they apply for a building permit or an entrance permit.
Okay. Did you do the resolution? I'm sorry.
Yes, I can. Be it resolved that council approves for processing application LO7 RO 2026-002 by numbered company 2772318 Ontario Incorporated to purchase part of the shore road allowance along the shore of Coagama Lake, further described as parts 9, 10, and 11 on Plan 19R 4298, in front of lots 7 and 8, concession 14 in the geographic township of Havelock. These lands are declared surplus.
Okay, discussion, mover and seconder. Carmen, Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Mickey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. A lot of stuff on there today. Okay. Reports and recommendations. Harcourt.
Harcourt did have a meeting last week, and it was of all the things that were coming up, they were just organizing dinners and that were being booked. And also that they had a lot of thank you cards from the money that they donated, mostly to the food, like for breakfasts for the kids at school and that. So I think it was just over $6,000. So that was really good.
That's a lot of money for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Wes Guilford?
Nothing really, Murray. Just getting ready for the snow shuffle this weekend, so it'll be a busy weekend.
Try not to have any accidents.
Hope not.
I hope not either. Okay, Rails End.
Rails End continues working on their Ontario Petroleum Grant application. I think it's due in March. They're working hard on that. They've got dates set for the Art and Craft Festival. It's in the last weekend in July. They've got some free March break programming for lots of activities. And their winter hours are still Wednesday to Friday, 11 to 5, and Saturdays. And the little store has lots of unique gift ideas. And they have a new exhibition called Arts and Science. So there's some pretty neat pieces of art in there.
Resolution.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the February 2026 Rails End Gallery and Arts Center report.
Okay, I'll mover and seconder. Walt and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. BIA, Pat will report to that in the harvest next month. Wartha, Halliburton Source Water Protection. Nothing. Okay, Upper Trent.
Nothing.
There's a whole lot of nothing going on. Draft Glebe Park and Museum Committee minutes. Any discussion on that or? No minutes, no nothing. Okay. Cultural plan update. Who's going to give that? Or just count on us reading it?
Just 1 second, get to it. Heather Reed came and spoke to that a couple months
Yes.
ago and gave you the update. That's what this is referring to.
Right.
So this is just the final plan. And basically saying any specific recommendations that come out of it, they'll bring one at a time to the committee through the to council through the Cultural Resources Committee.
Is there any comments on that, any of that? No? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that Dysart et al. Council adopt or endorse the Cultural Resource Plan as presented by the Cultural Resources Committee.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen and Nancy, all in favor? Carried, thank you. So I guess we'll just adjourn now to for a bit and then go into closed session.
Lunch is here, so I can bring in.
You might as well do that. We have a sandwich, then we'll go into closed.
You wanna go in?
You want to take a break? Or do you want to go into close? Go into close? Okay, and then we can get a sandwich and we can carry on. Okay. Okay, go into closed.
Council adjourn its regular meeting at 11:19 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended pertaining to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land in the township of Guilford, lands of Rice Lake Properties Corporation, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land in the township of Dysart, lands of Dysart et al., County Road 21.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay. Okay, is there any notices of motion? Okay, confirming bylaw.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-23 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on February 24th, 2026 be read a first, second, and third time passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Adjournment.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting held on February 24th, 2026 at 12:47 p.m.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Barry, all in favor? Thank you.